My life would be different without Here Tomorrow because I don't think I would be here without Here Tomorrow. And I say that a lot every time I'm telling like a friend or something about this place. I really like this place saved my life. Amanda saved my life. Um, um, and it was kind of the first place that made me feel seen with like everything I had going on in my head, and it made me feel like I wasn't alone.
The first time that I met Maggie, I saw something in her that I felt really familiar with. I saw a kid that was struggling and scared and did not really know who or what to trust, especially yourself. And I felt that way before too.
The moment Maggie first confided in me was, and she called me on the phone, told me she needed to talk to me, and she didn't tell me why, and I actually had no clue that that's what the conversation was going to be. So I picked her up and we went to the park, and she told me that she had been struggling and it had been going on, and that she felt like she was at a point where she could take her life and she wanted help. I called a friend, asked her first, and called a friend who had actually just found out about Here Tomorrow. And so that was a blessing because both of us knew at the time it was mental health was really bad and the hospital was full, and it wasn't really where I wanted to tell her mom I thought she needed to go.
Having Maggie at Here Tomorrow was definitely worth it. Maggie, it was not something I had to make her come do. She loved coming and talking to Amanda. She looked forward to it. Yeah, it was not difficult at all. And I loved seeing that relationship that they had, so it was very easy.
It was different talking to Amanda because I feel like she actually understood what I was going through, and she even told me in multiple times talking to her that like she'd been in my same position before or in a similar situation, and it felt nice knowing that I wasn't completely alone in all of this, and I had someone who like understood what I felt like didn't make sense in my brain. It was like an actual like thing.
A lot of kids don't ask for help as young as she was. She knew she was in trouble. She very maturely knew that she was in trouble and needed help. But I think the thing that makes me most proud is she's taken that, her time with Amanda, she's taken what Here Tomorrow did for her. She shared it with her peers. She's been there for her peers. That's what I'm the most proud of her, because she really has helped a lot of other people through her struggle. And I think just like Amanda helping her, that's what she's done for other people.
The biggest difference between talking to a teenager in crisis versus an adult is that they are still at a point where there's so much time and opportunity. There's so many different avenues that they could use to get better and get the help that they need. There's also the ability to look back and say, 10 years ago, I was in this place, and now this is where I'm at. So I can be this living proof for them.
Here Tomorrow changed my relationships with everyone around me, really. Through Here Tomorrow, I learned a lot of communication skills. I learned to speak up for myself. I learned all sorts of things. Like, I tell my mom everything now. If you had asked me that 4 years, no offense. No. If you had asked me that 4 years ago to tell my mom something that, like, I was going through, I would have been like, no. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's crazy. I'm not going to tell anybody about it. And now, like, my mom is, like, the first person I go to because I feel more comfortable talking to her because of the experiences that I've had.
The biggest change that I saw in Maggie was her will. And it was not just the will to live, but the will to accept, the will to love herself and allow others to love her too. She really came into finding her own truth and standing on that. And it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever gotten to see. Maggie is the most resilient and special human beings that I've ever had the opportunity to meet.
She's in a really good place. I mean, even through the struggles, I think, everything's made her stronger. I think everything, even when she's had to go backwards a little bit to go forward, everything she took and knew that that's what makes us who we are, it makes us stronger. And you see that in her, that it's starting to come out as the Maggie that's the adult Maggie, the Maggie that's going to help people in the future. I think it changes you, but she's never let any of the backwards not let her go forwards.
If a teenager or someone my age was feeling helpless or feeling suicidal, I would tell them not to give up and that they're not alone, because asking for help and admitting that I needed help was one of the hardest and best things that I've ever done. It does get better. Even though it doesn't feel like it, it's gonna get better. You're gonna find your people and just ask for help if you need it, because it helps. It does.
If I were to talk to other parents that are going through a similar situation with their teens about Here Tomorrow, I would absolutely tell them it is worth at least giving it a try. I don't know where we would be today if we hadn't listened to Maggie. Maggie was brave enough and strong enough to come to us and tell us what she was feeling at 14 years old. And if we hadn't listened to her, which I'm sure that happens many times, I'm not sure where we would be today. So it's definitely worth it.